regular city council meeting to order. If you could please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Vice Mayor Jones. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Mayor McPartlin.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Dodd.
Here.
And Councilmember Nunn.
Yes. Here.
Thank you.
Any agenda modifications?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose an agenda modification. I'd like to move item 13A, which is actually City Attorney's Matters, to a newly created item 12G under new business, which will make that actually a business item for the council tonight.
All right. Is that okay? We need a motion, change that, or?
Yes, you would definitely need a motion to do that.
Second. All right, motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, it's 12G now. Any other modifications?
No, sir.
All right. No proclamations today, no tongue twisters here. So, leads us up to public input. Now is the time for anyone who wants to bring something before council that's not on the already agenda. Yes, ma'am.
I do have one thing I'd like to bring up today.
You could just state your name for the record, please.
My name is Tracy Jennings.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. I am a holder of a Master's of Public Administration and a minor in Health, and I also have a second Master's in Data Analytics and Informatics, also in Healthcare. So I'm coming as a resident, as a mother, and as a public healthy professional to ask a really important question. Does Sebastian truly care about building for future generations? It's a hard question because every decision that we make within infrastructure, building, safety, livability is all for the Sebastian of our futures, for our children, for our grandchildren. We owe it to them to be forward-thinking and not just reactive. Right now, we have a small town charm. We love it here. I have 4 generations now with my daughter being born who live here. We love clean air, safe streets, and quiet nights that are mostly quiet now. These are not accidents. These are choices that we have continued to make to protect this Sebastian. Persistent train horn noise, however, disrupts sleep. It harms community well-being, especially for our most valuable and vulnerable populations, our children, our older adults. Chronic sleep loss is a #1 health risk linked to poor health for older adults and children, and also reduces cognitive function. Empirical studies that I've researched highlight that with drivers with less than 4 hours of consecutive sleep are 11 times more likely to get into car accidents, which is exactly equal to that of drunk driving. Although the county, I know, has indeed decided not to move forward with the quiet zones, I did reach out to the FRA myself. I spoke to Elizabeth Hudd, who works for the Division of Office and Safety, Grade Crossing, and Outreach, and she did confirm that the City of Sebastian, as a relevant public authority of the roadways, can indeed move forward without the county's permission to have the discretion to initiate the process of having a quiet zone. Therefore, I respectfully recommend that the City Council direct our staff to undertake a formal risk assessment in partnership with the FRA to see if we can have an objective evaluation with this risk assessment to see our safety at our rail crossing measures and the feasibility of a quiet zone for the future of Sebastian. That, of course, will inform future policy-making and investment decisions that we make moving forward. In a town like Sebastian, known for its natural beauty, its peaceful pace, I believe we all really have a role to play in preserving that peace and quiet. That's what makes Sebastian special. Let's ensure that 10, 20, even 50 years from now, our future families can say that Sebastian grew, but it grew wisely. Thank you for your consideration tonight and commitment to enhancing the quality of life for all of our Sebastian residents.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarification, I understand there's a item under the attorney's matters. Will the public be allowed to speak under that heading for the council position? Or do I need to do it under public
We'll
input?
do it then. We'll do it then. It's been moved.
Actually, that's now an item
Right.
on our new business agenda. You should
Right.
wait till then.
So I'll wait for,
If you came from the start, you'd know that. So, okay.
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anything else for
Appreciate
us?
that. Great sense of humor. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Anyone on Zoom?
No one has raised their hands at this
All
time.
right. Leads us up. Oh, yes, ma'am. I apologize.
Mr. Benton, Kimberly Grasso, George Street in Sebastian. I have an issue with the code enforcement ordinances. I don't know if you want me to list the ordinances that are being violated, especially at a property that we own in town. Not only one, two properties is affecting the ability of us to rent or sell our properties. I've spoken to several of you about this already. I promised I would be present at the council meeting if I could tonight. Health pending. So I'm here, due diligence, and I have all of the ordinances that I have covered in regarding this particular residence or residences. Would you like all of the ordinances, or would you just like me to tell you the ordinance number and the subsection?
Whatever you can do in 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes. Well, I'm in chapter 66. Let me see, we have nuisances, 66-1, subsection 3, 66-1, subsection 4, roads for dangerous passage of public street, ditch or drainage, 66-1, subsection 5, renders other persons insecure in the life of the use of their property. I'm talking about people who have cars and cars and cars and 17 people living in a 2-bedroom house. Interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of life or tends to appreciate the property of others. 66-3, subsection 8, any building or another place where activity which is in violation of local, state, or federal laws is conducted, performed, or materialized. 66-311A, growth of weeds, grass, vines on the property in excess of 10 inches. 66-311A1, it is imminent danger of causing damage to the adjacent properties, which they all are. 66-3-12, inoperative junk or abandoned vehicles and vessels at the exterior portions of the property, including trailers. 66-3, subsection 12A, vehicles or vessels unregistered, unlicensed, located to the street side of the building line, which I need an explanation for that. What is the street side of the building line? 66-3-12B, total of more than one vehicle vessel parked on, I'm cutting this short for my 2 minutes, because you said I had 3, now I have 2. But I can park anywhere on the lawn. There's no ordinance in this city that I cannot park on the lawn. Let's not open up Pandora's box. 80% of the people in this town do not know about this. I have several properties in town. I'll have my renters and myself parking all over my lawn, and I don't want to see that either. There is no ordinance governing that. No ordinance governing the amount of people that can reside in a property. HUD has a governing process over that. It's 2 to 1 bedroom. Why don't we have an ordinance regarding that in town? And especially about the parking on the lawn. And the easement. The easement's another issue. The easements are the right to use the land. However, I am the servient. You are the dominant. But if something happens on that easement, I'm responsible. Is that correct? That's the way the ordinance reads. I am responsible. I pay $21,000 in taxes on my properties in this town. A servient landlord cannot interfere with the scope of the easement, but can I plant 10-foot calusias in front of my yard so I don't have to look at these sites? I want to know that. If I am liable by law with the property, why am I liable for the maintenance of the swale and the easement? And I would like also the swale advised to me, because people can park on the street, they can park on the easement, then they can park in the swale, but they can't have a boat in the swale. I went over this with code enforcement for 2 hours last week. I've been talking about this, and Mr. Nunn has commented on Facebook to me several times. I can put a fence on the easement, I can put 10-foot collusions, does it matter? Now, if I can't rent or sell my property, 9 people have been by this property, and they said, no way would they live there with this house across the street. I can't rent it, I can't sell it. Will the city reimburse me for the property, for the cost of the property that I'm losing? Do I need to hire an attorney, or can we figure this out? I was told by Alex, she's not here, is she? Alex is here, okay. You can
Yes,
cancel
ma'am.
our meeting. $1,500 for each application to change an ordinance, I have to pay to present it to council so that you can deny it. Where are my taxes going? I'm just going to tell everybody they can park on the lawn, can park wherever you want, and nothing's going to happen. I have $450,000 into my property in landscaping and over improvements. We abide by the code, and so do all my tenants. I don't have to, obviously. Nobody else is. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Mr. Mayor, can
Yes, well,
we ask her to leave her notes for the city so they can,
Sure.
ma'am, did you have what, the ordinance you referenced and so forth, do you have that in writing? You were looking, could you hand that to the city clerk so she can? I'm sorry?
You'll never read this mess.
Okay, all right, thank you.
But I'll be happy to write it and send it.
Okay.
okay. All right. And anyone else? And I know you have that property noted, Mr. Benton, correct? All right. All right, council, leads us up to our consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second. Second.
Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
And Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Leads us up to committee reports and appointments. We have one for Parks and Rec. Ms. Williams?
Yes. You have one opening, and both alternates would like to move up. Mr. Halloran is your senior alternate. I don't know if he's here. And your other alternate is Ms. Sheldon. And then you have 2 new applicants, Mr. Moore and Ms. Bach. And I know Mr. Moore is here.
All right,
I'd like to say hello to him.
Council, how you wish to proceed? You want to speak to the applicants, or no?
There's 2 moving up and, they're all moving, and
All
2
right.
moving on, right?
There's
I'd
just
like to
one
move-
position open.
One.
So you have to pick one of, well, I don't want to tell you what to do, but normally you pick one of the alternates.
Mr. Halloran's the oldest serving alternate, so I'd like to move that he moves up to the regular member
I
position.
second that.
Okay,
And then, also, I'd like to move that we waive the advertising to, for Mr. Halloran's old alternate position, and that we appoint Mr. Moore to that.
Second.
okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that as well.
That cover everything, Ms. Williams?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Those who applied didn't get picked? Thank you. Leads us up to public hearings. Item 10A, first reading on ordinance number O-25-12, consideration of a land development code textual amendment to modify the townhouse dimensional regulation with the RM8 and RM10 zoning district and to set the date for a second reading, adoption, quasi-legislative public hearing on June 25th. Madam Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 025-12, an ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Florida, revising Land Development Code Article 5 zoning district regulations by amending the townhouse dimensional regulations within the RM8 medium-density multifamily residential 8 dwelling units per acre and RM10 medium-density multifamily residential 10 dwelling units per acre zoning districts, providing for severability, conflicts, codification, scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. First reading.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mann?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jim Mann. I work for the Community Development Department here for the City of Sebastian. Tonight we have the first reading for a land development text amendment for Article 5, the zoning district regulations, for townhome dimensional regulations, specifically in reference to the RM8 and the RM10 zoning districts. See if this thing will click over.
Help's on the way.
You can change the batteries for him. His first presentation, you do this to him? Initiation.
I was gonna say a technical glitch night.
I can do this at the computer.
Adapting. I guess we'll say computers.
Can we do it from the keypad?
It looks like that one.
Ah.
I can do it.
You can do it? How long you think?
Joseph, just have him say change slide, you got it.
Okay. So as I was saying, this is a land development text amendment, also known as Ordinance 2512, for townhome dimensional regulations for the RM8, RM10 zoning districts. And what we have proposed today is some different things that we're going to do with the RM8 and RM10 for size requirements, lot size in particular, but a little background on the residential townhome dimensional regulations. They were first established in 2001, and that was for the RM8 existing zoning district. It's 8 units per acre. And in 2021, with the new comp plan adoption, we created a residential multifamily 10 units per acre to meet the density requirements and the policies that were adopted in the 2040 comprehensive plan. Now, some recent submittals that we've been receiving for some townhome developments, they're kind of seeing a little bit of a trend with smaller lot sizes and longer buildings, but kind of keep it in the same size requirement for living space, but the lot sizes were a little bit different. And we kind of wanted to adapt our code to be a little bit more amenable for the new townhome development, because we are, you know, probably roughly at like 2.8% multifamily development with our comprehensive plan and our data. So some of the text amendment changes that we're proposing for the RM8 and RM10 specifically is to kind of reduce the lot width minimum from 25 feet to 20 feet. We would increase the depth of those lots from 75 feet to 90 feet. So we kind of keep the same size requirements within those lots, but it would reduce it about 75 square feet. So it would be changing the lot size requirements from 1875 square feet to 1800 square feet. And as you can kind of see in the diagram or the picture below, what the 20-foot lot width would look like with like a 6-plex development. And just for the residential multifamily 8 units per acre, the RM8 zoning district, we are proposing a reduced setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. And you can kind of see that circled in the diagram to the right. But we will increase the distance requirements in between the buildings from 15 feet to 20 feet to kind of keep that buffer between those two buildings, the multifamily development. And some administrative corrections. We noticed that some of the things that we had approved for the RM10 zoning district back in 2021 did not make it into the Muni Code. So these are some administrative corrections that we're going to add what the actual footnotes mean in the zoning district. So what you see is proposed there. And our recommendation tonight is to approve ordinance 2512 as presented, and we will schedule the second reading for public hearing June 25th. And if you have any questions of me, I am here.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Mann?
I've got a couple, but it's not about the width changes.
Sure.
Something else in the code that I just wanted to ask a question about. In RM8, section on page 2 of your thing, or 46 of our agenda packet, number 7 references a requirement for garages. Since we're changing the code, would it not be possible for us to think about whether we really want to require garages in RM8? Townhouse developments sometimes use off-street parking, or they use separate carport villages where they have carports in another part of the complex that individuals have. And we're saying in RM8 that we're going to require a garage. I'm just wondering if maybe it might be appropriate for us to think about between first and second reading about looking at that particular requirement. RM10, we talk about off-street parking as being available. That's in item number F. It's crazy, but RM8 and RM10 use different layouts for the forms. That's just difficult sometimes to mirror the two. But in RM10, we're allowing parking can be provided with off-street parking or garage or surface parking. RM8, we're not providing that option. So I'm just wondering if maybe we might want to think about that. I'm just suggesting that might be something the staff might want to think about and bring back at second reading. I don't know that we need a motion on that or anything like that to do that. So
that is definitely something we can look into.
Okay.
We can also look into different aspects of, rear parking, having the rear facing garages, with the alleyways.
I like that, but I mean, it's fine to do that, but is there an opportunity for an RM8 zone project to come in with townhouses and where they want to use off-street parking some way other than providing a garage with each unit? That does reduce the cost of building the unit, might allow them to build a more affordable unit without the square footage of the internal garage in there. So that's just something to think about. And the other one, I was confused. We're doing a 5-foot minimum in RM8, but I think RM10 says 10 feet for a 2-story. Are we not anticipating 2-story buildings in RM8? And if so, is the 5 feet sufficient with a 2-story in RM8 if we want 10 feet with RM10 2-story units? That's on page 48 of the thing at the top. It just says side minimum interior 10 feet 2-story, 5 foot 1-story. And I'm just wondering if that same condition might apply in RM8. I'm probably getting someplace I don't need to be, but we're going to change the code. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not fix it when we change it, as opposed to just doing one little thing because we've got a proposal coming in to do a 20-foot wide versus 25-foot wide townhouse. Okay, if we're going to change it, let's fix it right. And I understand from your slide that the footnotes on that chart are brand new, right? They're new added. Okay, they're not showing up in our packet as additions to the code. They're showing up as though they were there prior to that time. In the what's now blue line, but in the red line version that we have.
Oh, I see what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So We had noticed when we had printed out the code from Unicode that those footnotes were not included.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
that's
I
one
just-
thing
no,
that we were
that's not a
gonna
problem. That's
include
not a
back
problem.
into the actual code
I
itself.
just personally like to see a red line version of a document that shows me what's being added and what's being stricken, so I know for sure what the differences is. And I don't have to go back to my big green book and try to figure out what the differences are. That's never any fun. I know you guys love that big green book, but.
We do.
Well, those are my questions that pertain primarily to, is the garage requirement in RM8 still something that we want to stick to? And is there a difference in RM8 between 1 and 2 story setbacks, just like there is in RM10? And if there is, maybe that can be fixed between the first and second reading.
And something we can do, if you wish, I mean, we can change it to where the side setback is conducive for both zoning districts.
Yes.
Like that 5 foot, and then keep the same separation requirement in both, just to make it cohesive.
Yeah,
If you
I like
wish to propose
consistency.
that.
Yeah, I like consistency. So, and then about the garage, I don't know whether there's a need for anybody else on the council to talk about that, but,
To be honest with you, number 7 on page 2 is contradictory. It contradicts itself. It says a garage is required, then says the garage or carport. So it discusses carports, but it says it requires a garage, so that should probably be cleaned up, and if we're going to allow carports, that's fine, but it says it requires a garage, then it says, well, the garage or carport. Well, carport wasn't an option, so
Yeah.
probably shouldn't be discussed there.
yeah.
All that's gonna do is confuse the applicant.
I'm just thinking about affordability. One way to make a townhouse more affordable is to allow off-street parking, not require that they take interior square foot for a garage, or they build a carport into the building.
Correct.
You know, it's a way to cut, I don't know, maybe 10% off the construction cost, or 5% when you're talking about a 900 or 1,200 square foot building.
I do,
put-
I'll ask the question, and I apologize, I can't think of the name of development. The one on 512, on the south side of the road from Cumbies heading towards Publix, that one, do they have garages?
Is there a townhouse development?
Those townhouses? They do not. Okay.
No.
I mean, as long as we're allotting, a garage isn't required, in my opinion, for a townhome, as long as, I agree, as long as we're allotting for the parking in some sort of a scenario that makes sense and is sensible.
Yeah, we could do some modifications to this to where we are required to have at least 2 spaces per townhome, whether it be on-street or off-street parking. No garage required, if you wish to propose that as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to use on-street parking, but off-street parking or private off-street parking would be highly appropriate if you do 2 spaces per. And even if you have a 1-car garage, you might still need for a complex, you're going to need a number of spaces to
Anyways.
accommodate multiple cars or visitors.
Correct.
In today's world, most families have 2 cars, so.
Agreed.
At least.
Yeah.
Just, can I interject briefly?
Yes, Mrs. Kearney.
Thank you. So in the Land Development Code, under definitions for garage, it says, a detached accessory building or portion of the main building used for the parking and storage of automobiles for the occupants of the main building. A carport is to be considered a garage.
Okay, well, that's good.
Okay.
It should be clear, though, so people understand that. Yeah.
Can you clean it up?
I move it, but you got something, Fred? Go ahead. I was going to make a motion if you don't.
Go ahead.
Want to say something? Go ahead. You make the motion. You were going.
Rock, paper, scissors, let's go.
No, let Ed do it. Go ahead, Ed. All right, I move approval on first reading, setting the second reading for June the 28th. Is that it? The right date?
Second?
Second. Second. Okay.
25th.
Yeah.
Yeah, second, June 25th.
All right, anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
All right, roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have no unfinished business, new business. Item 12A, consideration of Resolution R-25-19 to accept FAA grant agreement, engineer and design terminal apron expansion, giving approval for the city manager to execute. Mr. Sabo, it's your item, I imagine.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. These next 2 items both are related to the design phase of expanding the apron, which sits in front of the Sebastian Municipal Airport Terminal Building. As the airport has grown and some of the larger commercial hangars have come into play, the apron area has not expanded, and we currently are restricted to only 6 spaces. We have a flight school that operates out there, and we run out of room very quickly for transient aircraft and visitors and anyone new coming into the area. So we've been able to secure this grant from the FAA to begin the design phase to actually increase with strategic placement of some additional asphalt and moving a couple of the spaces around to actually double our available parking spaces up to 12 aircraft for both transient and locals to use both around the terminal building and also to get to and from the fueling facility.
All right, any questions for Mr. Sabo?
It's awesome.
So how we wish to proceed on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R25-19.
Second.
All right, anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Anyone on Zoom?
No, at this time.
Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Leads us out to item 12B, consideration of CSA 15, selecting infrastructure consulting and engineering to engineer and design the terminal apron expansion project at the airport. Mr. Sabo.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this will be the actual use of the grant that you've just considered and approved to make use of one of the retained engineering firms that serve the airport for the city. They have already done some work in terms of providing the sketches and some of the preliminary ideas to help us come up with proper cost estimates before we went before the FAA to get this much of the phase pulled together. And then they will also not only through the design process get everything laid out the way we want it, but help us then to secure and apply for the FAA grant to actually do the construction work. Infrastructure consulting and engineering is very in tune with the Sebastian Airport. They've done multiple projects and handled them very well for us, so we'd like to continue that relationship.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Sabo? You want to go over the expenditures? What's paying for this?
Actually, the scope and the fees cover everything from all the survey work that needs to be done, along with a lot of the ground, quality assurance testing and the like, to make sure that everything from drainage works properly to any additional groundwork that needs to be done to support the asphalt and the layout and measurements so that everything meets the FAA specifications for the airport.
And it's costing the city of Sebastian how much for this?
Oh, I'm sorry. Because of the setup of the grant, there's a brief period. I don't have any direct explanation for it, but the FAA increased their percentages from 90% on these to a 95%. FDOT was still willing to participate in their part, so it dropped us from a normal 5% expenditure to only 2.5%. This will be from the city $5,121 expected at this point.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can we have it put up a photo of that, the image that we have, so the public know what we're talking about as far as the aprons?
There you go. The areas in dark gray would be the newest areas, the areas that would be added on. The existing areas in the middle that are the asphalt colors are what we currently have to work with. The fuel pump location was originally an issue, but it turns out that with the additional asphalt, the fuel pump and location will just be an island in where it's at and can be accessible from both sides if necessary, but it will save us a significant amount of cost instead of moving the pump, the lines, the electricity and everything to make that pump work. We looked at a couple other designs that could potentially have gotten us 1 or 2 more parking spaces, but there was concerns over conflict for prop wash, anyone walking down sidewalks or anyone in the public that would be coming to and from the terminal building going behind operating aircraft. So instead of being greedy, we felt that doubling the size from 6 spaces to 12 was going to be sufficient for current and future needs.
All right. Looks like it's increased in space almost 50%.
Very much so, very much so. And this will also help with a little bit of drainage changes out there, a couple of light poles to be moved. It will also provide us the opportunity to move 1 or 2 security cameras, give us a little bit better oversight of the ramp area and its operations.
Thank you. Any other question for Mr. Sabo? Any wish to proceed?
No, move approval of CSA 15.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this matter? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
And Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Leads us up to item 12C, consideration of lease extension for Connection Air LLC for office space in the airport terminal building. Mr. Sabo.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The terminal building that we were just looking at, one of the office spaces in there has been rented for more than the past year by Connection Air. It's a local charter service that not only goes over to the Bahamas, but participates in wherever you want to charter to go. They've been a good tenant for us. They are in good standing. They have expressed their wishes to continue on and keep that office space as the sort of the face of the business where the shingles hung for where their customers will come and go through our facility to get to the aircraft. And we would like to, with your consideration, offer them the chance to complete another year with us and hopefully beyond that.
All right. Thank you. How long have they been tenants?
They came in January of 24. We slipped up and missed the renewal in January of this year, so to make up for that, we are going to pick up from this date per your approval and carry forward 1 year from this point and make the new renewal date in June instead of January.
Thank you. Council, any question for Mr. Salem?
I do have one question. So they pay for office space, but they are an airline, so they have airplanes as well. Do they have to pay for the space, the parking space for those airplanes separate from this, or?
They do not. Currently, we do not charge landing fees or parking fees at the aircraft for any type of tenant. Now, anyone that comes in as a transient to use our facilities and the services of the FBO that operates, the fixed base operator that operates the terminal building for us, they are compensated with certain parking fees depending on the length of term and whether or not they buy any fuel. But that is handled as a privilege of the business that operates as the fixed-based operator.
Okay. And is this rental price standard for this type of office space with?
This has actually been increased over the previous year. We brought it up an additional amount to make sure that we were at a good point. It's very difficult to pinpoint a set rate because it's such a small office.
Right.
There's not a lot of space to really play with. But this is comparable to what we're doing with other spaces in the building and has actually brought this one up to more of a fair market value.
I think that's where my question comes from, is if you looked at other airports where, let's just say they have 2 or 3 planes and they've got office space, is this a reasonable cost for storing 3 planes and a office space?
Well, this particular tenant, their interest at this time is only in the office space, again, for the face of the business, so to speak, as they do their operations. However, they've also signed a ground lease and are about to break that ground over on the other side of the airport where they'll be putting up 1 or 2 large hangars, and that will become their new facility for not only maintenance, but storage and the like. Possibly that would also be the face of the business, but for the time being, it serves them and is more professional looking for them to operate out of the terminal building. But they look to be a long-range tenant and will be investing a good deal more into the airport as they grow.
Okay. I mean, I know how much it costs for me to store a camper, and obviously a plane is bigger and has a lot more risk and such that goes with it. So having a $250 a month rent, that's what's on the thing, plus having the ability to keep a couple planes seems very, very reasonable.
Yes, well, they have also secured 2 of our shade hangar spaces on the far side so that they can get the aircraft out of the weather until their facilities are built.
And obviously they pay rent for those separately.
Yes, sir. So we're making additional revenue that way.
That answers my questions. Thank you.
Very good.
All right. Any additional questions? Any wish to proceed on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the lease extension.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Anyone on Zoom?
No, at this time.
Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
And Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Leads us up to item 12D, consideration of resolution number R-25-20, approval of the FDEP Florida Resilient Grant Agreement 25 PLN 23, the adaptation plan for the previously completed vulnerability assessment. Ms. Miller.
So we applied for this Florida Resilient Planning Grant last year in July. This is the contract which would fully cover the entire planning grant. It would take our previous vulnerability assessment and move forward with adapting it, creating capital improvement projects in ways that we can make sure our infrastructure along the lagoon, shoreline, seawalls, lift stations are all taken care of. So we are looking to accept the contract and move forward with the planning.
Council, any questions for Ms. Miller? No. All right, we should proceed on this item.
I move approval. Approval to accept the grant.
All right.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this grant? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
And Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Leads us up to item 12E, consideration of CSA number 11 for Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated for the adaptation plan in the amount of $55,000 and authorize the city manager or designee to execute. Ms. Miller.
So since you just accepted the contract with FDEP for the grant, it is fully funded, and we are looking to continue with the same consultant that previously did the vulnerability assessment, since they're so familiar with the process. So this would be the contract for them to go ahead and do the design work and planning for this study.
All right, sounds good. So we took the money, then we spent the money. All right. Council, any questions for Ms. Miller? And we should proceed.
Move approval, CSA number 11.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Leads us up to item 12F, consideration of a purchase order in the amount of $7,000 payable to Extreme FX LLC to cover tariffs and associated import fees on fireworks procured for the city's Freedom Festival of 2025 and authorize the city manager or designee to execute all necessary documents. Ms. Graham.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. So in 2022, the city signed a 3-year agreement with Extreme FX to provide fireworks for the city's Freedom Festival. In April of this year, we were notified that there was a 145% tariff increase on consumer fireworks. And in May of this year, the contractor let us know, again, that they incurred that 145% tariff increase, but they noted that is extremely high. That's not something they can pass along to their customers. So they are asking for a 25% increase of the total contract price. The total contract price for this year is $28,000. So 25% of that would be $7,000. So they are asking for an additional $7,000 to cover the increase. They did provide notices from their suppliers. A few of them are overseas. So that is why they are, again, getting this tariff. And I also included our contract language. When the contract was signed in 2023, there was a section that stated that the city would cover tariffs if that were to happen. So that is why we are bringing this forward. Just so that everyone's aware, we have paid the down payment on this, which is $14,000. So if we do not approve, unfortunately, we do not get that money back. So.
Thank you, Ms. Graham. Any questions for Ms. Graham?
This is the last year of that contract, right?
That is correct, sir. We will be looking at a different contract to decide how we're going to do fireworks for the next few years.
Do I understand this right, that they're also charging us a $700 late fee?
No, we are not going to pay that late fee. I told them they needed to remove that because we hand deliver the checks on the 4th, so that late fee does not match.
Okay.
I already told the contractor that.
Awesome.
All right, council, what are you going to do with this fireworks? No fireworks for the 4th?
Nope, D9. No, I'm just kidding.
D9?
I'll make a motion to approve the $7,000 increase for the fireworks.
I'll second that.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Nothing says 4th of July like tariffs.
I guess that's true.
Sorry.
Or Memorial Day.
We'll dump some tea in the river, so, all right. Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes, and get ready for the notification, because Councilmember Nunn's already been recorded, and he's gonna be.
There we go.
Exactly.
All right, this leads us up to item 12G, discussion and direction on filling the vacant city council seat due to resignation of Councilmember Dixon pursuant to Charter Section 2.08. Madam Attorney, you want to kick this off?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Mr. Mayor, can I do a point?
Yes.
Can we hear from the public before we actually start deliberation on this? Is that appropriate?
Well, I just let her open
Okay.
it up,
Yeah.
what's on the matter, and then we'll hear from the public.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we need to hear the legal side of it first, so we know what we're dealing with.
Thank you. So as you all are aware, at the last meeting, Councilmember Dixon resigned from her seat. At that time, I gave you an initial opinion based on the charter section, which is 2.08, relating to vacancies of office. It's set out in your packet, all of the different options that you have. There's a little bit of ambiguity with respect to whether it would be for the complete term or whether it be just up until the election. The council essentially has two options. You can appoint a replacement, or you may permit the vacancy to be filled at the next election. Since that vacancy did occur within 6 months of the next election, I interpreted the code for you in that regard under section E1 of the code, the charter. In your backup, you'll have a legal memorandum from me outlining the relevant law, which we look to the Florida statutes and some Attorney General opinions along with the charter and interpretation. I outlined it for you in terms of statutory interpretation and how a court will look at it were it to be challenged. The court would first look to a plain reading of it, if necessary, potentially a legislative history update on it. But ultimately, council, it boils down to about 4 options, which would be appointment until the next general election, whether it's appointment for the remainder of the term, call for a special election, which is not legally recommended because I don't find a lot of backup for that option, direct that the seat be elected at the next election and left vacant, and then I would also recommend that the charter be recommended for clarification. There's another option I didn't mention in the backup, which would be to potentially have the council, maybe at the next meeting or in the future, give a resolution that would define your legislative intent for how the charter reads and moving forward, so that that could be considered and how you would like the charter to be considered by the voters as sort of a legislative backup, potentially, if this were to be challenged. I also sought a backup opinion as recommended at the last meeting from Andrew Mai, our complex counsel, and he's here present tonight, should you have any questions for him as well. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you.
I've also got I'm sorry to interrupt you. I also have in the backup all of the legislative charter changes that were made up to 1978 to show you all the different ways that it was changed, just for your information. It's like an abstract of it. You'll see those changes in yellow, and that can give you some further information on how it was presented to the voters when they interpreted and voted on it. That's all. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you. So it's from 4 options. 1, we appoint somebody till the next general election. Another one, appoint for the rest of the term. It would be go to 2026, call for a special election, which costs money, or directed the seat be elected keep it vacant and it be filled at the next election. So at this time, I'll take anything from the public. Anyone wish to comment on what should be done with the vacancy. Yes, sir. Five. Yeah, what happened there? Yeah, well, you get three and one's up already.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Damian Gilliams, 1623 US Highway 1, Sebastian, Florida. Thank you for the opportunity to approach the council to discuss this appointment. Just for clarification, I understand that the attorney had the other attorney provide a second legal opinion. Is that available to us to review? Because it wasn't noticed, and I didn't see it in the packet back there. I just checked. Is there a copy to be put on the back of the desk so that we can review it?
If you'd like, you want me to address?
Yes.
Any public records request could be made, and we could provide that at the appropriate time.
Okay. All right.
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor, I'm sorry,
But I
go
can
ahead.
present the information if council would like that.
I think that would be right.
Or Mr. Mai could be, Mr. Mai could we pause this time pause?
Sure. Have a seat, sir.
We can have Mr. Mai present his opinion if the council would like that.
Do we want that, Mr. Mayor?
Well,
Okay.
But you don't have to do it right now since you're just under public input.
how long do you think it'll be, Mr. Mai? Because it might handle any of the questions that come up.
There you go.
Yeah, I provided my opinion to the city attorney, and I can summarize it very quickly. I concur in her opinion. I agree with her opinion. There's nothing that I disagree in her opinion. The charter language is somewhat ambiguous, but I think with the exception of the special election, which she also did not recommend, I think the other three options are viable options.
All right. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Attorney, for clarification on that. It still should have been in writing and put on the
Well,
back
let's just
desk.
talk about the item here.
With that being said, I just want to see if you received my letter that I sent to the clerk. Why wasn't it not put in the packet? I'm kind of confused. I look at your packet and it wasn't there. And I think it was in time before your packet went out. Did anybody receive a copy of that letter?
Well, I would say it was, we were discussing it tonight.
Okay, but did it?
You know, you already gave
'cause
me, your wanted to be sitting up here. So I understand that, so next.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody received a copy. If not, I can provide a copy.
Right. I believe they all did.
Okay, I just want to get clarification on that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. To me, that's important. I didn't waste my time writing a letter to the clerk and in time to get it into your packet. So with that being said, that letter was dated May 30th, 2025, addressed to Jeanette Williams. And the subject was request for appointment to vacant city council seat pursuant to city charter, section 2.08. I hope this letter finds you well. I am writing to formally express my interest in being appointed to the current vacant seat on the Sebastian City Council, and I believe that under the provisions of Section 2.08, the city charter, I am entitled to this appointment based on my candidacy and performance in the most recent municipal election. As you are aware, during 2024 general election, I was a qualified candidate for the city council and received the highest number of votes among the candidates who were not elected. Given that I was the only remaining qualified, and I emphasize, qualified. I qualified in the last election. The remaining qualified candidate from that election with the next highest vote count, I respectfully assert that I am the appropriate individual to fill that current seat vacancy. While the charter allows the council to appoint a replacement when a vacancy occurs, it is customary and in the spirit of democratic representation, to consider the next highest vote getter from the most recent election, especially when that individual remains willing and eligible to serve. I am committed to serving the residents of Sebastian with integrity and dedication. My prior campaign focused on overspending, corruption, and fraud, and I remain passionate about the contributing to the city's growth and well-being and its environment. I kindly request that my appointment be placed on the agenda for the upcoming city council meeting for consideration. I am available at your convenience to discuss this matter further or to provide any additional information required. And I thank you for your attention to this request. I look forward to the opportunity to serve the community. Please confirm that you received this letter. And I never heard anything back.
Thank you.
So I just thought that, you know, just a confirmation that, you know, hey, something in writing, and nothing.
Well,
And
we spoke on the phone, didn't we?
I spoke to you, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And I didn't want to speak to any of the other council members because I didn't think it would be appropriate.
I told you I'd have an open mind, right? So
Okay,
we have an
I
open mind. You've put in your request. And
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Just for everybody's clarification, I never got to testify at my trial because I was asked not to. But
Listen,
wait,
sir, we're not talking about testifying at trial.
This is
We're
part-
talking about the item of this open position here. That's it.
You're taking that into consideration, I'm sure.
Sure.
Okay. I was innocent. You put me in jail for,
Sir, I'm
you
sure
guys
you
put me
were.
in jail for 30 days for having
Okay.
a legal meeting in this chambers.
Right.
And I just want to get clarification. The public was here, Mr.
All right,
Let me-
sir,
can I-
we're talking about this item. Time's up. Time's up.
Do I have not my
Time
5
is up.
minutes?
Time's
Sir,
up.
time is up.
Because obviously I see where this is going,
Yes.
okay? You don't have the right to speak your 5 minutes.
Well, it's down to 3 minutes. There was something wrong with the clock, and you had more than your allotted
I'm
time.
only going by what your clock
I
reads, Mr.
have
Mayor.
written down, you have more than your allotted time, sir.
Thank you
Okay?
very much for your
You're
time, sir.
welcome. Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this opening?
Wow.
Just to be clear, oh, I'm sorry, Grace Reed, Sebastian. Just to be clear, we're only discussing this item and whether, and the process, correct?
Correct.
We're not campaigning like
No.
you're not allowed to
No.
do.
No, if we decide to
Okay.
go forward, it'll
So-
probably be an application process and interview and everything
Again, we don't
along those
follow,
lines.
again, we don't follow the rules. But anyway, so after listening to all the options and watching previous meetings and really doing some thinking about this, I strongly support leaving this position vacant until the next election. There's a couple of reasons. Number one is stated in the packet with all of the options that the city attorney gave you. It's got minimal risk. It's 4-4. Some people have just said, well, you know, what about a 2-2 tie, that type of thing. I support all four of you. I've never seen anybody get along better than y'all do. Every now and then there's disagreements. There's 7 meetings after this one. I don't know if there's anything really urgent coming up that might be put on a table until November or whatever, but I sincerely trust that you guys can come together and make some form of a decision with it just without having the 5th seat. The third thing that I was thinking is to just appoint somebody, whether it be through out of a hat or people putting their name in or whatever. That takes my decision out of who represents me on this council. And I strongly support that the qualified electors in this city have the right to put up there who they want up there, and not just somebody just making a decision, yeah, I'd really like to have this guy or this woman or whatever, even though it is for just a little less than 6 months. Because that person, whether or not they run again in November, is going to be thinking about that election really hard, plus trying to think about everything here. So I strongly do support leaving it vacant until the next election.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Vicki Drumheller from Sebastian, and I also would like to see the position left vacant. It's been my experience since watching council develop over the last several years that I've lived here, that most folks take 6 months to get their hands wet and to figure out what's going on, and it's already election time. And I also agree with Ms. Reed that this should be something that should be left to the voters, and we don't have a long time. We have 6 months to the next election. I am going to address the elephant in the room because I would be absolutely incensed if Mr. Gilliams was put back on this council when I still have no idea if he has paid what he's owed the city residents in his tax.
just stick
And
to
I
the
know,
topic.
I will, but I think the seat should be left vacant. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else from the public who's speaking this item? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
All right, I'll close public input. Council, how you wish to proceed?
I'd like to say something if I could.
Well,
Me too.
appropriate?
It is appropriate, of course. As a council member who was heavily involved with fixing the issues up on this council, I would be chased out of town if I ever thought about appointing somebody that was removed from this council by the people. Not, I'm just saying was specific, there was 3 people involved in that, and I would not ever think about appointing somebody that was removed by the people. With what Ms. Reed and Ms. Drumheller are saying, the people should make this decision. So,
All right, let's just stick to what we want to do with this
That
vote.
was bringing me to
Okay?
my point,
All right.
which was, I think we should probably leave the position open until this next election and let the people make the decision of who should be up here.
Mr. Mayor, I
I'll
agree
make a
too.
motion. Oh, you want to do it, Fred?
No, I just want to say before you make the motion
ahead.
that I agree that we should leave it open because you think about this, our clerk has to have the information into the supervisory elections in mid-August.
Yep.
Between now and then, if we were to appoint somebody now, we're looking at maybe a month or 2 or something. So I would suggest that we leave it vacant and then go to the election, let the citizens decide who their representative will be.
Here, here.
I will say that I've been on the council with at least 3 gentlemen since 2020, and I absolutely have no doubt in my mind that the 4 of us can come together and get through our issues and deal with anything that comes before the council between now and November. And I agree with the statements that the attorney put in the document. Basically, under her option 4, she said the seat remains vacant until elected by voters. It's recommended it has minimal risk, which I think is appropriate. It maintains the public trust by allowing the voters to ultimately decide who's on the council. And it aligns with the best practices, which I didn't know this, I'm glad she put this, aligns with the best practices in municipal governance where charter language is ambiguous. And I think that's a very important point, is that our charter language is ambiguous. I would hate for us to appoint someone tonight and have that person locked up in a lawsuit because the charter language is ambiguous, and whether we win or lose that doesn't matter. We still spend money. We pay Mr. Mai to go out there and defend us in this, and it makes no sense to do that. So I make a motion that we select option number 4 from the attorney's list, and that we leave the position open, and that we, the city clerk, work with the supervisor elections to put a 1-year term on the next election, and people need to qualify and apply for that individual term if that's what they want.
Second.
All right. Well, I'm in agreement with that. I mean, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, the attorney wants to say something.
No, you
Yes,
can
ma'am.
Go ahead and then I'll speak. It's fine.
I was going to say, I sat up here when there wasn't an open appointment, and we allowed it to go, and it was filled at the next election, and we were able to get by with just 4. So, yes, ma'am.
And I just wanted to clarify, in agreement with your stance that it would be separate qualifications for that seat versus the other terms, and that is based on Florida law with respect to dual office holding, just so everyone knows that you can't qualify for both seats. Thank you, Mr. Mai, for being here tonight, and that's all I had.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We got a motion and a second. Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Nunn,
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Yes.
And Councilmember Dodd.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And before we go forward, if I can, on number 5 on her list about the Charter Review Committee, I just don't think there's time between now and the 25 election for us to work through the process of getting a change to the charter on this coming election. I think the clerk told me that in August we begin the process of appointing a new Charter Review Committee. And I think it would be appropriate for them to take this item up and clean this language up in the charter, and it would be on the 26th election then if they do that.
Probably number 1 item.
Yeah.
Nobody else is leaving, so I think we're good. No more vacancies till then.
Okay.
Remember that.
I don't know. You never know. Never know.
Never know.
Never know.
All right. All right, Madam Attorney, any matters for us?
No
Or
other.
was that enough?
That was enough.
That was enough? Okay.
Tonight.
And thank you again, Mr. Mai, for being here. I really appreciate it.
All right. Mr. Benton?
Just one quick update. A reminder that Barber Street paving has commenced. So be patient in that area, avoid it if you can. But we do have paving on Barber Street for approximately the next 3 to 4 weeks. So just a reminder to the public. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question about the paving? Do we know when Laconia will be completed? Do we have any estimation?
So yes, so we've, they ran into some delays with all the rain and the sub base underneath that crossing there. And during all of that rain, there was determined to be some washout areas on the east side of the road in there. So we're working with the engineers to do some additional design on the east side. So that process has started, and we anticipate by the end of this month opening up Laconia. We need to fix the issues with the washout on the east side prior to paving, because it will involve bringing some additional equipment into that. And so if they pave it, bring the equipment in, there's a chance they damage the roadway. But that is the plan. I think last I'd heard was 2 to 3 weeks. And then they will have to come back and do a second. They'll do a small mill and overlay once they confirm that the base is set and everything's good to go there. So I would say Laconia by the end of the week, by the end of the month. The entire project, I think we've always said it would be August, and that's what it's looking like at this point.
So the end of the month without any rain?
Well,
Without any additional
Okay.
unexpected occurrences.
All right. Anything else? Ms. Williams? Nothing? Mr. Jones?
No, sir.
All right, all I have is, last Friday was the kickoff of the Sebastian concert series. I'd say it was an excellent job. Mr. Blankenship, I think he picked the band, Hot Pink. They did fantastic. There'll be a tough act to follow, but I was amazed by the amount of people. And I had dinner reservations for 6:30, so I came back, and I couldn't believe there were more people than when it started. So it was an amazing night, and the weather was fantastic. So more of those to come. Mr. Nunn.
Yes, I am happy with our decision tonight because I think it avoids useless lawsuits. It takes that out of the picture. So I'm glad we're moving forward, and look forward to working with you all for getting everything done here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dodd.
Can't think of a thing. Thank you, sir.
All right, very good. Being no further business, we're in adjournment. Good night.